from are obviously upset because they say that those warnings, those alerts didn't go out in time, and they also say that people could have been saved. What do you say to those families?
Hello again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Frederica Whitfield, and we begin this hour with a major blame game happening within the Department of Justice over the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Multiple sources tell CNN the FBI's Deputy Director, Dan Bongino, is considering resigning following a tense confrontation with U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi over the handling of the Epstein case. CNN's Evan Perez is here with the latest.
Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino didn't show up to work on Friday, and he's told people he is considering resigning, an indication of the internal discord that has been brewing among top officials of the Justice Department and the FBI over the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Bongino and Attorney General Pam Bondi got into a heated confrontation in recent days over news media leaks that showed FBI officials disagreed with Bondi's handling of the issue. Bongino denied that he was behind the leaks. On Monday, the Justice Department released an unsigned memo that confirmed that Epstein was not murdered in prison in 2019, where he was awaiting trial for sex trafficking charges. The memo also said that there was no so-called client list and that the department would not release more documents. The reaction from Trump supporters has been angry, even though Trump himself has said he thinks the matter is closed. Prominent pro-Trump media figures, including Laura Loomer, have called for Bondi to be fired. And on Friday, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche pushed back on Loomer, saying that the FBI and justice officials worked together on that Monday memo and that there's no daylight among the officials on this issue. Blanche is right that Bongino and FBI Director Kash Patel all agreed on Monday's memo. But behind the scenes, we are told by sources that FBI and justice officials have been at odds for months about the handling of the Epstein files review. Now, the White House is standing by Bondi, and officials are hoping that Bongino cools off over the weekend and comes back to work on Monday.
Evan Perez. Thank you so much, Evan Perez. All right, I'm joined now by CNN legal analyst Michael Moore. He is a former U.S. attorney. Great to see you. Glad you could be here. All right, so my colleague Aaron Burnett spoke with former Trump White House lawyer Ty Cobb about what Bongino's path looks like going forward. Take a listen.
Bongino either has to come back from the weekend, and say, geez, sorry, I had a bad day, and looks forward to working with, his esteemed colleagues and moving forward, or he's gone. Because Bondi's not going and Patel's not going.
So President Trump is getting a whole lot of rare backlash, in fact, from his base, and it's aimed, squarely at Pam Bondi. Do you see that potentially she were to step down or that he were to fire her?
I think that's really unlikely, and I'm glad to be with you. I think it's completely unlikely that she does anything. I think there are too many sacrificial lambs around her, and she's sort of a favorite right now, and she puts on the praise at the cabinet meeting and everything else, and I think that probably secures her position, at least in the meantime. Bongino's made no secret he's not happy in the job, and so this sort of loss of credibility and loss of face with his former listeners, I think may be enough to push him over the edge.
And Evan Perez's, sources saying that he didn't expect that this job would be this complicated. I mean, this is, deputy, director for the FBI. That's a tough and heavy load.
Look, these folks have not been like at the trough of public service for years. These are really just Trump loyalists and party people that Trump has sort of slid into position. So it's folks who clearly we've seen it in other positions who they're just not up to the task. We see it in some of the other positions that Trump has filled, and so this may be one of those that sort of caught this guy off guard, and he's gone from sort of a mouth on a podcast now to having to actually do something about the problems that the country faces and the issues in the FBI, and he may say it's just not for me.
Outside looking in, there are a lot of people who are commenting, including a former FBI Deputy Director, Andy McCabe. He talked to CNN about this. Listen.
If you're an agent in the FBI right now, or a leader in the FBI, or anyone in the FBI, you're watching this circus take place at the absolute highest levels of the organization, and you're asking yourself, like, these are our leaders? Like, we are supposed to protect America and uphold the Constitution. And the deputy director himself might resign over some manufactured conflict about people who are angry about a conspiracy theory that didn't work out the way they liked. I mean, this thing is, it's absurd.
So he's now looking outside, but he's been on the inside, so he really understands and knows the dynamics here. So how problematic might it be, that this feud, presents something really terrible between, the FBI as well as the, Attorney General's office? Whose credibility is taking the biggest hit here?
Yeah, I mean, these really are just two folks wrestling in a mud puddle of their own making. I mean, right now, they've created this problem, and they've got to deal with it. I mean, typically you count on the FBI to really be in lockstep with the Attorney General and the Department of Justice as they're under the Department of Justice. You're just not seeing that now. The problem is what they've done is so outside the norm for DOJ and for the FBI to make these kind of statements, to start talking about. And you remember when they came out of a meeting and they're waving around a notebook that talks about the Epstein files as if somehow this is a big, they've got it here, and Pam Bondi says it's on my desk, and now none of that's backed up. And so you've got people like Bongino saying, and I'm not a champion for him, I'm simply saying he's looking at it thinking, well, I had a job before. I was probably making decent money. I may not have those same listeners come back to me now because it's clear that, somebody's not telling the truth somewhere, and I'm going to be the one who they're saying is not telling the truth. And so it's a problem, but but Andy's right. I mean, it's a problem for the morale inside the organization. When you
especially for those, career public servants.
Well, I mean, look at who's been appointed to lead them.
Right.
I mean, that was sort of a circus through the confirmation process anyway. So they sort of have dealt with that, and now it's all coming back to roost, and we're seeing that these bad choices for leadership are playing out in how the FBI and the DOJ function on a day-to-day basis together.
All right, Michael Moore, we're going to have you back, talk about something else, but maybe lesson learned here is sometimes everything doesn't need to be public, especially preemptive to, when all the stuff is there.
Don't campaign on conspiracies. Right. That's really the...
Oh, there you go. That too. All right, we'll be right back. All right, now to this new threat facing Central Texas this weekend. Heavy rain could bring flash flooding to some areas just 1 week after those deadly floods. And as the search operation continues for the 150 people still missing, officials are facing questions about the emergency response, including President Trump. After he toured the destruction on Friday, a reporter asked him to respond to the criticism.
Several families we've heard from are obviously upset because they say that those warnings, those alerts didn't go out in time, and they also say that people could have been saved. What do you say to those families?
That everybody did. There was just admiration. The only bad person would ask a question like that, to be honest with you. I don't know who you are, but only a very evil person would ask a question like that.